Happy New Year! I'm Sandy Arnett. On this edition of Commuter Connections, we'll show you how M.MTA is helping you to prepare for the winter weather season. M.MTA also is interested in getting your feedback about transit and invites you to rate your ride. We have another round of North Avenue Community Open House public meetings to update you on, and we'll introduce you to an interesting collaboration that's creating stylish transit bags that represent a bit of M.MTA history. All on this edition of Commuter Connections. The winter weather season is here, and M.MTA wants you to be prepared for any substantial snow by offering a snow guide to assist you in using transit on challenging winter weather days. M.MTA Manager of Community Relations, Eleni Flannery, joins us with a look at this guide. Welcome to Commuter Connection.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So what is the M.MTA Snow Guide?
So the Snow Guide provides our riders with information to prepare for adverse weather conditions that may affect our level of service.
And what are some of the things that transit riders might find in the Snow Guide?
So they'll find instructions to receive email and text message alerts for their modes of travel. They'll be able to choose for specific bus and rail lines as well as rail stations. You'll also find where to find us online, on social media, a list of radio and television stations, as well as safety tips.
And where can people get copies of the Snow Guide?
So the brochure is available at our transit center located at 6 St. Paul Street. It's also available at many libraries and on our website, or you can call our Transit Information Contact Center at 410-539-5000, where you can also request the information in an alternate format or translate it into another language.
And is there a cost for transit riders?
There is no cost at all.
Now, how long has M.MTA provided the Snow Guide?
The Snow Guide has been produced annually for over 20 years.
Oh, for a good long time.
Yeah, a long time.
And it sounds like it gives a lot of helpful information. So roughly how many people does it take to produce the publication?
Well, it begins with one person who writes the text, and then that person will work with a graphic artist to make the brochure attractive, and then it'll go to our print production, where about 4 to 5 pressmen will work on the total production of it.
And roughly how many copies are you producing?
We begin with 30,000, and then we will reprint as needed.
So with M.MTA, I know you're trying to make sure you're getting people where they need to go. How early in the season do you actually start preparing for winter weather?
Well, by early fall, we're already working on it. We are fine-tuning plans and preparing equipment, facilities, vehicles for adverse weather conditions. As early as October.
Pretty early. And hopefully it'll be a mild winter this year. So what are a few tips for transit riders during inclement weather conditions?
They should definitely plan additional time for their travel. Remember to dress in extra layers to keep warm and keep up with the changing weather conditions. If routes may be diverted to only main roads if the smaller roads are not cleared, in which case you may need to walk to a main road to catch your bus. And if you choose to walk in the road because sidewalks are not yet cleared, please be aware of traffic that may not see you. And for frequent transit team updates, stay tuned to M.MTA radio station, WTTZ at 93.5 FM.
So tell us once again, where can we get copies of the Snow Guide?
So the copies are available at our transit center located at 6 St. Paul Street, at many libraries, on our website, and by calling 410-539-5000.
Eleni, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up next, M.MTA is providing you an opportunity to rate your transit ride. We've got that for you next. Stay with us.
A moment in transit.
M.MTA was out and about in the community this holiday season, providing lots of holiday joy. The holiday bus rolled through neighborhoods providing free rides and candy canes.
We've got Santa here with us today, who's on the holiday bus pretty much for most of the month of December, and going out and spreading cheer all around the city.
Ho, ho, ho. Just passing out candy canes and spreading the joy and the love for the holidays and making sure everybody have a wonderful day each day that they're on the Santa Claus bus.
With all the stress of the season, the holiday bus was a welcome attraction.
It was quite a lovely surprise this afternoon. I appreciate the free ride and the candy cane. And before I get off, I'm going to take a picture of Santa for my girls.
This is a great day today. Unexpected. Got on the bus and turned out to be very joyous and got us in a better mood.
It was beautiful. All the Christmas atmosphere around Santa Claus, and it changed my whole mood. And we could be in a bad way, but I think they just brightened up my day. So thank you, MTA.
The MTA police paid a visit to Stewart Hill Academy this past December for their annual Adopt a Family campaign. Santa again paid a visit. This time, he brought along Mrs. Claus and rewarded the good little boys and girls. Officers donate their time and their own money to make the holidays special for those in need.
Oftentimes when you think of police work, you think about the spirit of adventure. However, this is truly the spirit of service, where our officers come together to ensure some very needy families can have a wonderful Christmas.
You know, we always want to look for opportunities to be part of the community, really contribute. We're not just a public transportation provider, we're part of the city. We help move people around from jobs to doctor's appointments to the grocery store, everything. You know, we're really part of the fabric of the community, and so this is a great opportunity for us to give back.
Everyone present was delighted with the results.
I talked to our families. They knew they were going to receive something, but they wasn't sure. So as they walked in this evening, I started to talk to them, and they were looking around with excitement. The children was looking at the gifts that you have prepared behind me, and it was awesome in their responses. They said, thank you, you do so much for the community.
Today means everything to me. With the road that my kids face, today right here makes my kids very happy. So I'm very thankful, and I thank God for people like y'all.
So it meant a lot to me, it meant a lot to the school, it meant a lot to the community. We thank and appreciate the MTA and everything that y'all have done and every hope and dream that y'all brought to the families in the community. We really appreciate y'all as a team. Thank you.
At the Mandalman Mall Metro Station, children of all ages could delight in the Train Garden. The Train Garden is a miniature village with children playing, restaurants, flying helicopters, and of course, trains. The display is interactive, so by pushing a button, anyone can start the action. MDOT-MTA's impact can be felt far beyond the bus stops and terminals where we transport our customers. The agency is truly a partner in the community and looks forward to continuing to serve in 2018.
A moment in transit.
MDOT-MTA is interested in getting feedback on your recent transit experience and wants you to rate your ride. The data will be used to help improve transit. MDOT-MTA Chief Performance Officer Philip Sullivan joins us with the information on this initiative. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
So what is the Rate Your Ride initiative?
Rate Your Ride is a survey program that the MTA has recently rebooted here as sort of Baltimore Link has taken off, where we're asking our riders when they ride the system, when they take their ride, to log into a mobile-friendly website, rateyourride.org, to take a quick survey, a few-item survey to tell us how was that experience.
And what is your goal? What is MDOT-MTA's goal with this Rate Your Ride initiative?
The goal is to collect information day to day from our public, from the riding public, so that we can understand where there are problems in the system and we can understand how effectively improvements we've made sort of impact customers' perceptions, their satisfaction.
And you do mention that you can take it on your mobile device. Is there another way that you can also complete the survey, or is it mainly on your phone?
The website is mobile friendly, but obviously a desktop computer would work as well. So you could log in from your desktop to the rateyourride.org website, or what we expect most people will probably use is a mobile device, and the website has been built to work very well on a mobile device.
And it's convenient. Most people have their phones right there with them, so they can do that. How long does the survey take?
Less than a minute.
Oh, okay,
It's just
so
a
it's
few
quick.
questions about what route you're on or what service you're riding and how well you feel it's performing.
So how did the whole Rate Your Ride come to be?
Rate Your Ride was a product of the Central Maryland Transportation Alliance, Baltimore City Public Schools, and the Maryland Transit Administration coming together and developing a tool that could be used to gauge how well people like the system. The MTA has recently rebooted this program in the month of November to tie in with the new Baltimore Link system.
Now, do you find that respondents are, that transit riders are a little reluctant to respond to the survey?
Right now, we haven't had as many responses as we want. It's actually one of the reasons why I'm doing this interview.
Okay.
We certainly want more people to be giving us their feedback on the rateyourride.org website. We've only had a few hundred responses so far in the first month that it's gone live. We are planning to do more marketing efforts in terms of posters and signs in our vehicles and more on social media. So it'll be very helpful if everyone logs in and rates their ride.
And how exactly will the data from the survey be used?
The information will be used to pinpoint sort of where there are problems throughout the system. So if we can get a lot of information coming in saying that one of our specific routes or one of our specific service types all of a sudden is sort of going in the wrong direction, it would help the MTA by pushing resources that way to really understand what's going on there and then hopefully be able to make improvements to that system. In addition, we want to be able to use this information to understand how well improvements that we were already planning are going to impact customer satisfaction. So one of the examples is sort of like dedicated bus lanes. As we continue to work with Baltimore City DOT in getting more and more dedicated bus lanes out there, the idea is that as those things go into effect, we would hope to see customer satisfaction increase in the Rate Your Ride survey, and then that'll help us sort of substantiate whether or not those things were good decisions or not.
And so that's good with the survey. So you're looking at where you need to improve, but you can also look at where things are already working and what you might want to continue.
Exactly.
This isn't the first Rate Your Ride, as you mentioned. How many has MDOT had?
So I would say one. This is really just an extension of that original one. So it was rebooted here, in line with Baltimore Link.
And how many people do you generally receive responses from? I know you said that you've gotten maybe a couple initially.
Yeah, so a couple hundred here in the first month, and that's across all of our different modes of transportation. So, whether that's MARC, commuter bus, metro, the local bus system.
So it's for everything.
Yeah, so it's across all of the MTA, all of our modes.
So mobility as well.
Mobility is in there.
And for people who may want information on the survey, how they can go about taking it, or just getting more information on Rate Your Ride.
Yeah.
Where can they find it?
Rateyourride.org. Yeah.
And all they need to do is sign up. They can sign in.
Yes.
Take a survey, real brief.
Very mobile friendly.
Okay.
So log in on those mobile devices right after you take your ride.
Okay. And it's good. You want to hear back from transit riders. You want their input so that you can make the system better.
We do.
Okay. Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
MDOT has another round of North Avenue Rising open house public meetings to make you aware of. We've got an update on that just ahead.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Through the leadership of Governor Larry Hogan, state, federal, and local government have teamed up for an initiative that will bring economic revitalization to Baltimore's North Avenue corridor and provide much-needed access to economic opportunity for city residents. The initiative, which is called North Avenue Rising, has a number of community open house events coming up to update you on this important project. MDOT Senior Planner Patrick McMahon joins us with more. Welcome to Commuter Connections.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
So tell us, for our viewers who may not know, what is the North Avenue Rising project?
So North Avenue Rising is a joint project of MDOT and the Baltimore City Department of Transportation. And it's a series of targeted investments in transportation infrastructure along the full length of the North Avenue corridor to improve the economic vitality of that corridor and to improve the transportation experience for folks traveling in that corridor by bus, walking, bicycling, driving, taking a truck.
And so this is one of Governor Hogan's initiatives.
Governor Hogan and Secretary Ron were key pieces in making sure that we got the necessary funding to make this project possible. It's a federal grant that we received, but the bulk of the money comes from the Maryland Department of Transportation.
And for people who live in that North Avenue corridor, what are some of the improvements that they can expect to see through North Avenue Rising?
So there's going to be a variety of different activities happening along the length of North Avenue. Some of those will include dedicated bus and bike lanes along much of the length of the corridor. There will also be some repaving of some of the worst sections of asphalt along the corridor. We'll also be including 6 bike share stations along North Avenue. There will be some streetscaping and sidewalk and ADA improvements happening along the corridor, improvements to bus stops. There'll also be improvements at the North Avenue Metro Station, the Penn North Metro Station, and a couple of other things along the way.
Now, I know North Avenue is one of the longest corridors in the city, I guess, running from West Baltimore to East Baltimore. So where exactly will the project, the North Avenue Rising project, start and end?
The North Avenue Rising project is going to have impacts along the full length of the 5 miles of North Avenue, which we sort of say from Hilton to Milton. It's from Hilton Street on the west side to Milton Avenue on the east side. There's going to be sort of different pieces, and so there won't be necessarily the same thing along the entire corridor. There'll be targeted investments at individual locations based on the involvement that we've had with community, as well as city and state agencies and other partners in the project.
And when exactly do the various projects begin, and how long will they take? When do you expect to have the project fully completed?
For the most part, we're going to be doing design throughout 2018, and most of 2019 will be in procurement, getting the contracts for the construction, but some construction will start in 2019, and then construction is scheduled to go through 2020 and 2021. It's possible that there may be some things that happen a little bit earlier. We may be able to get in one of the bike share locations a little earlier. We may do a little bit of work on the signals a little earlier.
And how much money has been dedicated to this project?
So the full project budget is over $27 million. Of that, $14.7 million come from the Maryland Department of Transportation. $10 million come from the Federal Transit Administration. $1.6 million comes from the Federal Highway Administration, and $1 million come from Baltimore City Department of Transportation.
So a partnership between, again, federal, state, and local.
It's really been an important partnership, and we talk on a almost daily basis with Baltimore City DOT about this project and talk regularly with Federal Transit Administration about this, and really are working very closely hand in hand with them, coordinating on all these different pieces.
And it sounds like a wonderful initiative that probably, I would imagine, will employ a lot of people. What are you talking about in the number of jobs that this project might bring about?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. We haven't yet figured out sort of what the actual construction dollars are going to be, but yes, there's definitely going to be economic input during the construction process, as well as we think there's going to be a lot of economic benefit, both from the improved transportation improvements along the corridor and sort of being able to get from one end to the other by the bus a lot faster, or making the streetscaping in front of commercial areas a little bit nicer, as well as just sort of the added public investment in this corridor and helping to draw economic development to this corridor.
And it sounds like much needed changes that would be coming to North Avenue. What does this mean for Baltimore? I mean, these are a lot of good things that are going to be happening.
Yeah, I mean, North Avenue, as you said, is a very important street for Baltimore. It's one of our major east-west corridors. It's one of the few streets that serves both our metro station and light rail. We've got metro and light rail stations on there. It's a major truck traffic corridor along the city. It crosses the Jones Falls Valley. It connects a lot of different parts of the city. And it's a corridor that really needs some additional investment. It's a corridor that hasn't received a lot of the attention that it needs. And this project alone isn't going to be able to meet all the needs in the North Avenue corridor, but we think that this investment, along with other projects, the city just did the ribbon cutting for a variety of improvements along East North Avenue, and other things that we expect are going to come. All of those different pieces we hope are going to help revitalize that corridor and improve the conditions for folks in the various communities along that corridor.
And I know there were recently some open houses, some public meetings where people got to come in, hear about North Avenue Rising, and I guess weigh in with some feedback. How did that go? What are you hearing from community residents and others?
Yeah, so we had a series of 4 kickoff meetings in November of 2017, and we had a lot of folks come out to those meetings, really good attendance at some of those meetings, and got a lot of feedback from people about the kinds of issues that they see along North Avenue, about sort of improving the speed and reliability of MTA buses so they're not getting caught in congestion, getting caught at traffic signals, and so we're working to address those through the bus lanes and signal priority, about the conditions at bus stops, and so we're working to improve conditions at the bus stops. We also heard a little bit about the safety of crossing the street, and so we're looking at where we can do improvements to the ADA accessibility and helping to manage speed so that it's a little safer to cross the street. So there's a variety of different things. And then we have another set of public meetings that are going to be happening February 5th through the 8th. And those meetings will have some plans and some more things, more concrete pieces for folks to look at and get a feeling of, here are the things that we're thinking we can fund through the project, and get feedback from the public about whether they think that makes sense, whether they think we need to make adjustments with those pieces. And so the public involvement has been very helpful so far. There's been a survey on the North Avenue Rising website. We've gotten a lot of comments from the surveys, and we're looking forward to getting more feedback from the public as this project moves forward.
And with the survey, is that people able to weigh in on what changes they'd like to see?
So the survey that we had in November and that was up on the website through December was more asking about issues and problems along North Avenue, and what do you think, how do you think the conditions currently are? I'm sure that as we move through the project, there'll be additional ways that we'll be getting public input, and probably through surveys asking more about how do you feel about these different pieces.
If someone wants more information on North Avenue Rising, or eventually to get, the dates on the next set of public meetings, where can they go?
The North Avenue Rising website is northavenuerising.com. That's a great place to go. It's got all the materials that are being presented at the public meetings, has the survey there as well.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
Just ahead, a look at a collaboration that's creating stylish transit bags that display and chronicle a part of Baltimore transit history. That's next. Stay with us.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
In the transition to Baltimore Link, thousands of transit signs had to be replaced to make room for signs that reflect the new Baltimore Link lines and service. The old bus lines and signs are gone. But now you can have a piece of transit history to carry around with you everywhere you go, in the form of a very stylish and functional transit bag that's available for sale. Joining us with more on this are MDOT/MTA Chief Innovation Officer Mike Helta and Jeremiah Jones of Solab USA, the manufacturer of the bags. Welcome to the show.
Hey Sandy, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
So Jeremiah, before we kind of talk about the bags, tell us about Solab.
So Solab is a business we created about 3 years ago to overcome some of the challenges we had as a manufacturer in Baltimore. Workforce development being a big issue, sewn trades are no longer really relevant or present in our city. We've built Solab to bring the sewed trades back to Baltimore.
And you're based in Baltimore. Where exactly are you located?
We're in Hamden right now, Falls and Chestnut.
And how did the company come to be?
Let's see, back in 2009, I developed a strap that holds your foot to a bicycle pedal. We started to build out our manufacturing around that and quickly realized the lack of supporting industry in Baltimore, hence Solab coming to be.
Now, Mike, tell us a little bit. I know with the Solab initiative, how did that, I know MDOT/MTA was involved. How did that all come to be from that perspective?
it's a really great story, actually. So as we were designing these bus wraps that would go over our bus stop signs, in the 6-month transition as we turned Baltimore Link on, we had a problem where we had about 4,500 of these vinyl wraps, and we had nothing to do with them. So we were trying to figure out, we didn't just want to throw them away, we wanted to figure out a way to reuse them. So one of the people in my office, actually, he's an artisan. He put out an email to like an artist listserv saying, hey, we've got around 4,500 of these big vinyl banner wraps, and can somebody do something with them? So Jeremiah contacted us and said, I've got some ideas. I've got some thoughts of what we could do with it. Went out and visited him, spent a few hours, checked some stuff out, kicked some ideas around, and it just kind of grew from there.
So the partnership began.
Yep.
So Jeremiah, tell us, how did this whole idea, how did you actually come about the design of the bags?
Well, once we had a sign sample in the shop, we kind of walked through what the best usage for the material would be. At the same time, we were designing a training program to kick off this year to start to rebuild our labor pool in Baltimore for skilled sewers. They're unicorns. They're really rare. So we're looking to educate people and bring these sewing trades back to the city.
So who came up with the design? I think this was something that you initially started with.
Well,
then did it branch out to the tote? And I think there's a backpack as well.
Yes. So in our training program, we have to walk people through a series of benchmarks, right? So we have to introduce them first to industrial sewing equipment. We start people with a very simple, flat canvas tool pouch. It's very simple. It's one piece of fabric, a zipper, and it takes, in my shop, about 3 production minutes to make one. In a training scenario, it's more like 5 to 10 minutes per, but they happen pretty quickly. So we start there and we introduce them to the system, and then we move them through incrementally to larger bags, all the way up to the tote bag.
It's very nice. So who do you employ? I know you said that you're really trying to get more people kind of back into that industry, learning about the sewing.
Our staff consists of local artisan and craftsmen. We look for people that have the drive and the motivation, but maybe they don't have the hard skills as much. So we've really tailored our system to educating people on the hard skills of sewing.
So that's great. So what are some of the other things that your group produces?
We make a wide range of things. Our limiting factor is the equipment we have, so the sewing machines and what they're set up for. So we focus mostly on heavy sewing, so you'll see the canvas and vinyl and things like that. We do a lot of backpacks. We obviously make the strap that holds your foot to the pedal, hold fast. We make a lot of keychains. We do leather work. We do a lot of hats. We introduced hats to our system this past year, so that's been going really well.
So I have to ask, when you saw that email on the listserv and found out that all of these vinyl signs were available, what was your reaction? What was your response?
I was very surprised because it's a lot of material. I wanted to think of how we can use it. We have a big problem with waste in our own shop, looking for resources to recycle fabric scraps and leather scraps and things like that. It's really challenging. So an opportunity to help somebody else with that, where we can actually take something that is no longer usable to them and turn it into something that's usable to everybody. I think that's a fun challenge for me.
So tell us, what are the costs for the bags?
So the let's see, the backpack is $72, the tote bag here is $42, and our DOP kit is $24.
And where can people purchase the bags?
So we had a holiday pop-up shop this past holiday season. We did really well there. We're looking for a permanent location for our pop-up store made in Baltimore. But for now, you can find us on our website, solabusa.com.
Well, thank you both for joining us, and good luck with Solab.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
That brings us to the end of another Commuter Connections program. Happy New Year. We'll see you next time.